You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Laura Ingram is reporting that Dr. Fauci is linked to the Wuhan lab at the center of this crisis. How original is that? And you have to remember here, ladies and gentlemen, that this virus is not only mixed in with HIV, as you can see on the chalkboard here, but also with rabies. Now, why is that interesting? It's interesting because coronavirus has a natural affinity for the nervous system all by itself. But you spike it with rabies, and all of a sudden, this becomes like floating mad cow disease on top of HIV. And why is that interesting? Where does Mr. Fauci work? Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, the video guy. You can tell the video guy is having issues. But you can see on his little vest there, it says Laboratory of Immunoregulatory Regulation. That's what it says. Immunoregulation. That's very interesting. HIV immunoregulation. This guy would be exactly the kind of guy that you would want to cook up a doomsday virus. We're going to be getting into that and so much more. How's everybody doing out there? We're hacking the Matrix. Live on the Screw Tube. But this is being reported all around the world now. You've heard of the funding. Now you know who's responsible for it. And there's so much more that you need to know about Dr. Fauci, as well as his assistant, Dr. Baxter. But what do we know about Fauci? He's a longtime Hillary supporter. Hardcore Luciferian. Pay attention to the devil hand signs. It's natural for these people. They say he was writing lots of love letters to Hillary, that he cried during the 2016 loss. Look at that face. Is that the face of a serial killer? You bet it is. Look at this. See when he's smiling? When he's with the libtards. See when he's not smiling? He looks like the devil itself. Look at that. Smiling, the devil. Smiling with the devil. And this obviously paints a very grim picture. Who's at the head of the response? But the mastermind, pretty much himself. Dr. Evil himself. It's like one of those Hollywood movies where the bad guy is also the investigator. And he's supposed to investigate himself. He's supposed to find himself. Well, we know that's not going to happen. We know the FBI isn't going to help you out. You know that Trump isn't going to help you out. You're totally screwed at the mercy of these evildoers. And you have to read, this article for yourselves and see this all for yourself. Now hold on here. The video guy was onto something, but I don't think we're going to get to see it just yet. So let us ask you once again, how is everybody doing out there? What the fuck is it with the video guy? This is messed up, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen the way we want it to happen. We're getting hacked by the Matrix. It's hacking back. Look at this bullshit. It wants to load an ad. It wants to... Look at this shit. Ladies and gentlemen. But here's the article. Dr. Fauci is an advisor. No, this can't be it. But just last year, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases funded scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology and other institutions for work on gain of function research on coronaviruses. Okay, so this was the big sentence here. We just wanted to show you, what's a broadcast without some evidence. So they're saying here in this article, bona fide mainstream news, that Dr. Fauci and his institute funded the lab for work on coronaviruses for gain of function. What does that mean? What is gain of function? It means to make something more deadly, to make a virus more deadly. That's exactly what it means. It's not to do vaccine research or anything like that. It's gain of function, to add a function, to make it more virulent, more deadly, to splice it with HIV, to splice it with rabies, to have it gain functions. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what that article is telling us. Right here. And, where does he work at? Look at the little thing right over here. Laboratory of Immunoregulation. Well, what is that? Laboratory of... Not going to happen, is it? No. The major theme of the Laboratory of Immunoregulation, run by Anthony Fauci, the chief, continues to be the elucidation of cellular and molecular mechanisms regulating the human immune response in health and disease. Now, notably HIV. So this guy is probably one of the world's most renowned HIV specialists. And what is this thing spliced with? HIV, as well as rabies. And we covered that. It's in the video archives. Check that out. That was from another laboratory from Paris. Bona fide, confirmed. It's got rabies glycoproteins. It's got HIV. We've got a guy that's funding the lab at the center of this thing, funding it for coronaviruses, for gain of function of coronaviruses. They're adding stuff to it. That's what gain of function means. Look it up. Do your own research. We're not going to do, a biology class here. But gain of function research for coronaviruses in the lab where the epicenter is of this outbreak is highly suggestive, to say the least. And we know that we're not dealing with some kind of random virus. We're dealing with a virus that came from a lab. And we know which lab it came from. And we know whose virus it is. This is Dr. Fauci's virus. This is the Wuhan virus. This is what they paid for. And this guy is at the center of the show, one of those murder mysteries where, you see the serial killer, right there at the crime scene looking at the investigators. That's what that look is. You know what I mean? So he's basically heading the response, and he's also responsible for this virus. Now, if things were a little less serious, people probably wouldn't care. But this obviously is the first person that should be indicted for war crimes against humanity and the like. We're talking about, major death here, mega death, mega crimes. And you have to wonder who else is implicated in all of this, because they let this virus in. Now, Trump undoubtedly did it under the direction of Dr. Fauci. They've been talking about this since November. In the intelligence circles, we were getting reports of briefings at the White House, at the National Security Council, back in November. So, undoubtedly, the White House was looking for a response, and that response came from Dr. Fauci. So this guy is at the very center of this 9/11 genocide that's hit America and the world. Have no doubt about that. If you're just joining us, the big breaking news, of course, being reported on both sides of the spectrum, Laura Ingraham, Newsweek, Dr. Fauci is directly linked to the Wuhan lab, and not just any kind of link here. It's not just a general funding research. I think that's really important to stress here. This isn't just general funding research. This is for, Dr. Fauci, et cetera, funded scientists at the Wuhan Institute of Virology for work on gain of function research on bat coronaviruses. Exactly what we're looking at here. What are the odds, right? It's not like they're doing research on avian flu or swine flu or, anything else. It's exactly the virus. Exactly the virus that they were talking about in Event 201, Agenda 21. Exactly the same virus, right? And exactly the same players that we're seeing. It's not just Fauci, it's also John Hopkins, Bloomberg combination, those John Hopkins maps. They're the ones that were organizing the Event 201. And it's all one big click. And, a few weeks ago, we were reporting that undoubtedly, the Democrats have a huge role in this. Their fingerprints are all over it. The motive, well, let's just say that, this benefits them in terms of the election. And, the motive is the crime. The crime is the motive. That's criminal justice 101. So, and you see Fauci here with all of the libtards, not just some of them, all of them. And this is the real Fauci, right? And you could tell with his, deep, raspy voice that he's, dark side. And obviously, if they're paying homage to this guy, if Brad Pitt is paying homage to this guy, it was a bad, it was just weird, wasn't it? At the very end, he's like, he takes the wig off and he's like, "I love you, Dr. Fauci." Now, what kind of actor does that? No actor does that. You know what I mean? And that defeats the whole point of acting. You're supposed to be convinced that that actor is the person they're pretending to be. But this was like a huge homage to Fauci. Why? Who is Fauci? He's just some scientist, right? Oh no, this is the guy that delivered, America back into the hands of the Democrats. And he made sure that everything this administration would do would fail in terms of this pandemic. He's in charge of the response. He's in charge of unleashing it. And so, of course, everything that America tries to do has to go through him, and he's going to make sure it fails. And that's why it has failed. Because he wants Trump to take the blame for it, right? So if Trump takes the blame, Democrats take power, Fauci wins, and that's why they're paying homage. They're like, "Oh, way to go, Fauci. Way to go." But again, this is being reported in Newsweek, right? Dr. Fauci backed controversial Wuhan lab with millions of research. What for? For work on gain of function for coronavirus. Right? Work on gain of function of bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So why did this, erupt? Oh, you can't even see that. My bad. You can't, why did this erupt in Wuhan? Because of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Why was it bat coronavirus? Because Fauci was funding gain of function research on coronavirus. Now, if you can connect the dots here, you totally understand that the evidence is overwhelming And the FBI should be raiding Fauci, Birx, the Democrats, and, just to name a few. But you'll never see them do that. They'll bury the story. They'll pretend like nothing ever happened because they're all in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies. And I think this really is more than enough evidence for anyone. They'll try and censor it. They'll try and, call it whatever, right? But it's right there in black and white. Gain of function research on bat coronavirus. For the longest time, they made it just seem it was like $3.7 million by chance to the weapons lab where this erupted from. But this money was designated specifically for this virus, for gain of function, meaning making it more virulent, right? Not vaccine research, gain of function research. There's a big difference in the world of science here, whether it be for vaccine research or gain of function. Gain of function means weapon. People may want to debate that, but for most scientists, gain of function means weapon, weaponization, more virulent, added functions, right? On the very same virus. We could stay here forever. Do you understand what this means? What can we do about it? What, shall we do about it, ladies and gentlemen? They've unleashed this virus to kill you. It's now in black and white. You've got the smoking gun, another one. So, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for people to act accordingly here? This is mega news. What do you guys think? Is this mega or is this mega, ladies and gentlemen? Now, we're obviously learning about, how they're steering this outbreak. And this is through the biology textbooks as well. And quite literally, it says that most coronavirus cases are subclinical, asymptomatic, unless it's activated with an immunosuppressant agent. And there are different types of immunosuppressant agents. Some are viruses, and some are radiation, believe it or not. Most leukemia cases occur due to viruses or static electric fields, pulsed electric fields. This is very well known. And so, obviously, they're steering this outbreak with the death towers. Now, we've covered, why this is in previous broadcasts, but, they flipped on the 5G at the very same time this outbreak broke out in Wuhan. We could stay here all day. So, you're obviously starting to see, what the end game here is, right? They want to take away your rights. They've suspended your constitutional rights by declaring a national state of emergency and invoking the Stafford Act. So why don't you look at State of Emergency Stafford Act Trump, and you'll see that, in fact, they have suspended your constitutional rights. You're just not fully aware of that yet. And the story is bound to get worse. They tried to... Look, it's hard to say, what they're trying to do. Because right now, your only choice is between Trump and creepy Biden. And you just have to wonder, how many people are going to, be ultra motivated to vote for creepy Biden at the end of the day. Probably less than Hillary. We know that this administration has attempted to capitalize by being, a wartime president, having these, press conferences every day, but they just couldn't maintain, the illusion. It broke down too quickly, and it's not going according to plan. The hospitals have been busted. There's nobody there. So you have to wonder, what's going on. They can't pick up this virus on their tests. The tests don't work. So, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot we have said. It's definitely time for the Boogaloo. July 4th would be nice. They tried to suspend Independence Day this year. And it would only be fitting that we take this country back on the 4th of July. Now, I'm not sure how many people realize how serious things are now. It used to be fun and games, after 9/11. We would all take turns exposing the crimes, exposing glitches in the Matrix and the like. And we would have fun, sharing this information and making these people look bad. But now it's gotten so bad, so dangerous. These people are unleashing bioweapons. You thought the fluoride was bad. You thought the vaccines were bad. The GMOs, the chemtrails, the works. Now they've upped it up. They've upped it up a notch. They've upped it a notch, ladies and gentlemen. They've unleashed the virus. What can you say? Better get your gear ready, because Dr. Fauci is warning of a second wave, if you can believe that. You might be asking yourself, is there anything you can do to protect yourselves from this second wave, ladies and gentlemen? And obviously, people are coming up with their own ideas. And, you're seeing it. You're seeing these towers go up. You're watching the flames go up the rope, if you will. And as soon as, the base catches fire, in fact, the whole thing goes up. The insulation is made of rubber, and it's just too easy, according to experts. Now, obviously, nobody can recommend doing such a thing. But you can understand why it's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need more information on the health effects of these death towers, do your research, check out our previous broadcasts and the like. Do you submit to irradiation? Do you willfully submit? Have you tried to opt out? Do you remember when they sent you, a permission slip to irradiate you? You remember when they asked you for your permission? Hey, you don't mind if we irradiate you, do you? They never asked for your permission. They don't intend to ask for your permission. They intend to dose you non-stop, all the time, everywhere and anywhere they can, without mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, what is it with these nurses? What is it with these hospitals? Imagine what, treatment costs, and it's like the movie Hostel. You know what I mean? How's everybody doing out there? Oh, it's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what else to say. We got a lot of other news to cover. But Dr. Fauci is definitely on the shit list. And it looks like they've all been vaccinated. Now, we've heard the clips that, the hot mic at the White House press room, where they're admitting that they've all been vaccinated for this virus, so they don't need to wear masks. And we know that there's been numerous people that have tested positive that have come into contact with the president and the vice president, and they always test negative. Why is that? He doesn't even bother wearing a mask at the Mayo Clinic. which undoubtedly has cases. Everybody's wearing a mask except him. Why? He's got the vaccine, and they're not afraid to show it. You know that this virus was engineered. It has HIV and rabies spliced into it. This virus has a serial number. This virus has a barcode. And this virus has an antidote. They've already got it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. They're steering the virus with the death towers. They've got a backup antidote. And they're terrorizing the whole nation. They're taking away your rights. They're trying to kill everyone. It doesn't get any more real than this. And quite honestly, if people just sit by and wait for the next dose, if people sit by and just wait for the next wave, I certainly will have no respect for anyone out there. Because you're going to continue to get raped by these people. All you have to do is pick a date. You saw how it was during Operation Gridlock. We're all supposed to be locked down. Nobody outside. Right? But the whole city showed up. The whole city became the militia. And nobody could stop them. If you want this country back, all you have to do is pick a date and be there. Like V for Vendetta. Remember the 4th of July. You just have to pick a date and be there. You have to make sure that everybody will be there. Because if we go in half-ass, it's not going to work. But the only way that people are going to be there is if they understand that they've been bio-nuked by their own government. Just like in the movie V for Vendetta. And it's starting to look like they live. I mean, they're trying to exterminate everyone. It looks like an alien invasion. It might as well be. Can you agree on picking a date, ladies and gentlemen, or is that not possible? Let's see what else we got in the news. How is China integrating AI technologies into warfighting? How does that compare to other countries? What are the ethical considerations? You know, there's going to be so many drones, so many Robocops, so many Terminators running off the 5G and the super AI and the Skynet. There won't be any room for humans. Humans aren't in the future plans, but transhumans are. Half human, half robot, like the Elon Musk brain chip. And this is problematic, ladies and gentlemen. Not sure what the video guy is doing there. But that's the next wave. Swarms of drones. U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency updated its assessment of the origin of the coronavirus to reflect that it may have accidentally been released from the lab. So you see, the story has changed from everybody's perspective. It's no longer, oh, it came from the jungle, right? No, this came from the lab. But they're not going to say they did it on purpose. They're going to say it was an accident. Well, what did they release accidentally? Was it some kind of harmless virus? Oh no. Oh no. It's a doomsday virus. It's SARS mixed with HIV mixed with rabies. And what people don't fully understand about the pathogenesis or the disease spectrum of this coronavirus disease, is that it includes a long list of neurological disorders. And it's going to induce diseases like multiple sclerosis, neurodegenerative disorders, Alzheimer's, rage, like rabies, and essentially dementia and mad cow. And so right now people are worried about, the circulatory aspects of this virus, which is the innate coronavirus aspect of it. But when they start adding up the HIV and the stealth encephalitis, this thing is just going to be devastating. It's never going to go away. It's going to be a perpetual infection. People are going to get reinfected. Their viral load is going to explode as the waves come crashing through. And every time they try to restart society, it's going to grind to a halt. And this is what they've unleashed onto our country. And it's only going to get worse. This is like the Umbrella Program. It's like Agenda 21, Georgia Guidestones. So, obviously, you want the right kind of ammo. You want the right kind of gear. And you want everybody to be on the same page. We've got literally 2 months to set up something for the 4th of July. Wouldn't it be nice? Now, what would that entail exactly? Well, obviously, all Republicans and Democrats would have to be declared enemies of the state. It's like this little group of people that are in control of everything. You can only elect their shills, right? They stage these elections and they're like, oh, here you get one from the Republicans and you get one from the Democrats. That's your menu. And that's it. In a country of 350 million people, we've only got 2 parties, and that's it. That's it. Every once in a while, there's an independent that slips through. You look at other countries, they've got like 10 different political parties. And sometimes they have to form unions or whatever. And that's the way they rule. It's a more selective process. But we don't have that. We've got this pseudo-democracy, this pseudo-republic run by gangsters. And they're basically telling you, fuck your rights. They've suspended your rights, ladies and gentlemen. And we're hearing about heartbreaking stories. A lot of people just dying in their homes. And in these areas that have been activated, the casualties are real. And we've talked about this in yesterday's broadcast as far as what's going on in New York. But Jamaica Hospital is basically right there next to the biggest 5G grid in New York City right now, in that metropolitan area. It's clear that they got activated. Not an engineer, never finished college, not a doctor, not an epidemiologist, not a virologist, a documented thief, owns virus patents, owns the vaccine, and has visited Epstein's Island. Now, these two are a thing, have been a thing, worked together for many years. It's very suspicious. And of course, COVID is going to stand for Coronavirus Identification Card. They're already getting you kind of used to the COV ID, Coronavirus ID. You're going to need one soon. Extra papers. Thought that was kind of interesting. They want you to know that they're Dr. Evil, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, this was another Freudian slip here. Let's see if we can play this. But she tells us that she's really working for Bill Gates. Let's listen to this. It's actually kind of interesting.
I think that's why the criteria that you can see the gates that are that the federal government has recommended are.
Do we have enough infrastructure to contact trace the way that we need to?
I think that's why the criteria that you can see the gates that are that the
that the gates set that course, we're seeing massive censorship, and a couple of doctors were pulled, literal doctors reporting their findings on YouTube, just expressing their opinions, and they got pulled, and Tucker Carlson covered that. Not sure if this is going to play, but you know, the fake book and the screw tube, they're communist sympathizers. So it was, you know, these videos, I'm sure you've seen the headlines for yourselves. A couple of, you know, doctors from California exposing, you know, the facts. And they were actually pulled from ScrewTube. And this isn't the first time. But they won't stop at stranger than fiction news. They'll ban doctors as well. Why? Because they're communist sympathizers. That used to mean something in this country. Are you now, or have you ever been, a member of the Communist Party? I mean, that used to be a big deal for us. Are you a communist? And now it's like the communists have taken over and they're censoring everyone. And they're, you know, they're gassing you with their super virus. How does that make you feel out there? U.S. doctors claim that Trump's controversial hydroxychloroquine drug does help 91% of patients, and argues that we should not wait for controlled trials. You're not hearing a lot about hydroxychloroquine anymore because it's so cheap. Not saying it doesn't have side effects, but we've heard a lot of positive reports and hardly any negative ones. And the negative ones that we have heard of are from the deep state, and you know, they're just, you know, totally messed up studies where they're giving people like 1,200 milligrams instead of the 200 milligram doses, and they're like, oh yeah, they got heart troubles. Well, with doses like that, you know, it's like taking the whole bottle of Robitussin at the same time and then coming out with a study and saying, oh no, the Robitussin, it's got the side effects, you know. So real disingenuous, you know, misinformation coming from the deep state, like, you know, the VA that's killing our vets, letting them go, you know, into the streets. But now they're, you know, pushing bogus reports to kill more people. So there you go. The whole system is corrupt. And just a friendly reminder here, nobody had to teach you as a child how to misbehave. That was a natural thing for you. You had to be taught the contrary. And likewise, nobody had to teach you how to doubt, ladies and gentlemen, because you were born as a rebel. But the answer that you're looking for is not on television. It's in the Bible. And the more you know about what's in the Bible, the more it'll change your life. Guaranteed. All of a sudden, you know, the television won't seem as important as it used to. And, you know, all the stuff that you used to be into won't seem as important as it used to. Nobody's ever quite the same once they meet Jesus, ladies and gentlemen. What else we got? New York Attorney General raises concerns about Amazon's pandemic safety practices. Now we know that, you know, Bezos was a huge benefactor from this outbreak, wiped out more businesses. People, you know, were ordering strictly Amazon, and their stock price went through the roof. And of course, Bezos is linked to Bloomberg and Gates, and kind of covered that yesterday. But those are, you know, the three big financiers that we see being linked into all of this. And I think the more people look in that direction, the more they'll discover. The coronavirus flying squads, mobile military units will go to schools, care homes, and offices as part of rapid response testing. So they're just going to, you know, drop in special forces at any time to start testing people, and perhaps, you know, quarantines, forced quarantines of entire, blocks or buildings and forced extractions in certain cases. The goon squads are still coming, but since this all fell apart, they're going to be looking to do this in the second wave next winter. And that was more of what Project ZYPHR was talking about, that the real stuff is going to happen in the winter of 2020, 2021. So this is just kind of like the run up to baby step us into accepting what's coming next. And they've already accomplished so much, yet so much has been exposed. Now here's Trump's kind of response here, the ultimate response for, China's role in this. And Trump says that he will bill China more than $160 billion for the damage. Now, do you think you're going to get a check for that? What would that come out to if everybody got a check? If we divided that $160 billion by 350 million people. That would equate to $450 per person. Does that seem fair for what you've had to go through for the last 2 months? Or what you will have to go through for the next year or 2 years or 3 years? Does $450 seem fair to you? Who would even put out a statement like, yeah, we're going to get them. We're gonna fine them $160 billion. That'll cover our cause. We've already spent like trillions of dollars. And you're going to fine them $160 billion. Their money isn't even real. It's less real than anybody else's money. And I suppose the only reason to want to get some of their money is to be able to buy things, from them in their money. But nobody's going to want to do business with China anymore. What's their money going to be worth? And you really have to wonder, if he's trying to just, fine them $160 billion and turn the page like nothing ever happened. Really? You just want to pretend like nothing ever happened? Like Hillary, just let her go. It's amazing. I mean, the way this has all turned out, it's amazing. I'm sure that nobody would have expected this back in 2016, 2017. No way. But it started bad. It really did. They sent General Flynn to the wolves, and within a couple months, there was the first Gladio B event in Syria, first cruise missiles going in. And it was all based on, fake chemical weapon attacks and the like. And that all came out quite clearly in the OPCW reports. And so they actually chlorined people, but it wasn't, Assad. It was the white helmets and the British. And so we basically gassed people there and then sent in cruise missiles under false pretexts. And so that really did give us, an idea of what was coming next. And that, ramped up all the way until, they genocided the Kurds. They rolled out 5G everywhere. They arrested Assange, let Hillary go. So should anybody be surprised that they're fully implicated in this exercise, this live exercise? I think this has been fully exposed. I think it's quite clear who the guilty people are. And, people have a choice to make. They can pretend like they don't know so that they can get gassed again, or they can choose to take this country back. Now, look, it's always easier to do nothing. And if we could play that Braveheart, speech where he's like, if you could go back to this day, in 20 or 30 years when it's, you're on your deathbed, it's all gone by, and you could go back to, this moment in time and change the history of the world, would you not give it all up for that chance? I mean, this is the only chance we're going to get. Once they roll out their Skynet, their Terminators, their Robocops and the like, it's over. Your guns ain't going to matter too much with a legion of Terminators and drones and artificial intelligence. People that haven't seen this nurse's testimony really should. The vast majority of people that died from coronavirus were murdered in hospitals. And they tried to censor that information as well. So, oh yeah, and we've got Gates and Fauci here. Oh, speak of the devil. So, look, I think we've got a list of people that need to be arrested immediately. Of course, the FBI will never do that because they're part of the problem. And, you know, the states certainly aren't going to step in by themselves and start arresting people. Although New York might. I mean, they arrested Epstein. That looked like it was outside of the regular business. And if Cuomo was half as smart as he thinks he is, he would have figured all this out by now. And so you have to wonder what he's thinking. Do I arrest Gates and Fauci? Do I send in the, New York police or whatever? Because they can do that. They've got their own little, thing going on over there after 9/11. They could do it. But if they don't do it, then it really comes back to we the people. We the people have to arrest these targets. And that's what they've become. They've launched a war against America. These people are now enemy combatants. And it doesn't matter what title they hold, and it doesn't matter, who you think they are. They are enemies of the Republic. And these people have attempted to murder every American and just about every person in this world. It is a huge national security priority, imperative, that these people are taken down. And inaction speaks as loudly as action these days. And they can talk about something else. They certainly will. They'll talk about their accomplishments, what a wonderful job they're doing. They're all about self-praise. And that's all they can ever talk about, is how wonderful they're doing. Are you tired of winning yet? As the food supply buckles and the like. And so I think we're starting to understand, what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Now the question is, what can we do about it? We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Till the next time. Big shout out to everybody in the audience. We know that you're out there. Let's see if we can shine a little light on you. If we can. Hopefully we're still live out there. They like to cut off these broadcasts. They do. But, much love to everybody out there. Like and share. Feel free to mirror. Let people know. And there you go. Still live. Ellie, what's going on? Karen, FD, Tanya, Christy, Afisha. I'd like to see you guys in person one day. Maybe at the pizza parlor. Comet Pizza. How about we rendezvous at Comet Pizza before we storm the rest of the story? What's going on out there? Blue Flash, Michael Higgins, Granny, Six Strings. See you on July 4th. We Do Not Consent. How's it going out there in Australia? Down under. Who else we got out there? Polarity 77. Access Through Christ. Amen. John Michael. Pam. Beyond Awake. All the regulars. Mel Gibson. No shit. Mel Gibson's in the house. And like I said, we'll leave it there. FD. What you doing? And obviously, this is spiritual warfare. And we're dealing not only with, people, but spiritual wickedness from heavenly places. And that basically means, aliens ladies and gentlemen, essentially. And people will, want to refine what that means, fallen angels and demons and the like. But essentially, they're not from our world. They're from a different world. And, humans are their prey. We must be like their food source. And obviously, the human soul is a very precious commodity, very precious raw material. What's going on, Ben? Hey, Kenzo. Adam, what you doing? So, vehicles of peace, limited edition, like the Hot Wheels. Huh? Who used to play with Hot Wheels as a kid? Anybody? Anybody? I'm just kidding. How about the Illuminati card deck? Huh? They got a card that says pandemic. I think we got it, in fact. Should we just like hot load it into this? I was going to use it somewhere. Might as well throw it in now, see if we can find it. Probably too late now. We'll never find it now, like now that we want to see it. You never know. Quarantine, there it is, bitches. Where is it? Oh, we're not getting it. Huh? No, it's not going to show up. All right, forget about it. But there's a card called Quarantine Epidemic. Illuminati card deck once again. Nothing new under the sun. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I'd hang out with you guys forever. I'd like to do just, a talk show where people can call in and we can exchange ideas and the like. I'd use Zoom, but, that's running through China and stuff, and that's not too interesting at this stage. So, we got a Hot Wheels fan out there. Anyways, yeah, many cards on that deck indeed, and we've seen them all since 9/11, pretty much. You know what I mean? And I think there's a Trump card in there as well, now that I think about it. Be nice. Absolutely, be nice. But understand that we're in a war now. And they've unleashed a bioweapon. It's a weapon of war. They've tried to exterminate everyone. It's a real thing. Whatever's going on out here, it's bigger than the fluoride, it's bigger than the vaccines, it's bigger than the death towers. They've really, unleashed something big this time. And it's only going to get worse. And look, we need to push back this 4th of July. And we need to maintain pressure on this beast system and not let them control the narrative out there. And, that's where superheroes come in. You know what I mean? Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, hold on. Let's wait for it. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.